everyone, and welcome back to the Joy-Filled Universe podcast. I am your host, Lisa Ryan, and today's episode is truly a milestone because this episode marks 1 full year of the Joy-Filled Universe podcast. And before anything else today, before we talk about any tools or stories, and before any of the magic begins, I just want to say one simple and very heartfelt message, and that is thank you. Thanks so much to each and every one of you who have tuned in on a routine basis. Thank you for being a part of the Joy-Filled Universe and staying committed to raising your vibe and subsequently raising the vibe in our entire incredible world, because that is what this space is all about. It is about people like us who are committed to self-development, to evolving, to becoming the most incredible version of ourselves, all while maximizing this amazing human experience. And I don't think it's any mystery right now that I totally love self-development work, whether it's this podcast or coaching, mentoring, all of it. I am here for it. I love the learning. I love growing. I love exploring the magic of the universe. And even more than that, I adore sharing all of it. And this podcast, it genuinely brings me joy. And the fact that it is being listened to all around the world with only a handful of countries that have not yet been tapped into, it is just mind-blowing to me. And I was really thinking for a little while about what was this 1-year anniversary episode going to be? Was it going to be like a deep dive into the past year, or a discussion about something fun like EFT tapping, maybe even like the power of the moon phases, right? I kept thinking about all these wonderful thoughts, yet one of the most reoccurring ideas for me was just being grateful, just pure heartfelt gratitude, because this podcast for me didn't just start a year ago. It started somewhere back around 2023 when I had already spent a lot of years. Can't even count how many. A lot of years studying, listening to TED Talks, taking seminars and master classes, all on things like the law of attraction, the law of vibration, energy, quantum physics, mindset and awareness, stoicism, personal growth, crystals, meditation, leadership and coaching, angels, the divine master teachers, and the power of the mind and the power of the human spirit. All of those things are just like what I can recall off the top of my head, because there's been just so much content that I have been absorbing for so many years now. And all of that info flow, it wasn't just the learning. It was the fact that I was living it and applying it to my own life, seeing it actually work, seeing real, tangible results. And that made me thrive. And a bonus here, I loved sharing all of it, whether it was with my friends or my family or anyone that would listen. I was so excited to always share what I was learning. And the joy that I felt, most especially when people would come back to me and say, wow, you know what? That actually worked for me. Or I'm so grateful for your help. It really made a difference for me. Words like that are gold. And it's because of that kind of feedback that I had the thought, I am going to start a podcast, because by doing a podcast, I have the opportunity of reaching even more humans throughout the country and even all over the world. However, I wanted to first invest in myself because I wanted to grow in a way that I felt like I could deliver content effectively and in a way that resonates with people. So I enrolled in a rigorous coaching program, and throughout 2024, I earned certifications in professional coaching and life and transitions coaching and energy leadership, all accredited by the International Coaching Federation too. And then once I completed my certifications in January of 2025, I turned myself towards figuring out what I needed to create and release a podcast, so that in April of 2025, the Joy-Filled Universe podcast was born. And let me tell you, this past year has been so much fun. I think mostly because it was very intentional. I didn't go all in on social media. I didn't push any type of marketing too aggressively because I wanted to figure out if I actually enjoyed doing the podcast. Was it something that was in alignment with me? Because podcasting is truly a marathon. I'm here to tell you, it ain't no sprint. You have to be so committed to showing up consistently. And for me, that's every week. And I also had to be sure that I had something meaningful to say. And what I had learned was most people, somewhere around 90%, don't make it past the first 4 episodes. And it appears that this is largely because they expect immediate results, like immediate followers, immediate success. And according to several of the articles that I've read, that doesn't appear to be the norm. So for me, what mattered most was, is this in alignment and do I enjoy doing it? And if the answer is yes, and if also people are tuning in and enjoying it as well, and thankfully both responses are a yes here, then that is something that truly is a milestone marker for me. Because this podcast, like I said, it brings me joy. It keeps me learning. It keeps me expanding. And it affords me the opportunity to share this expansion with all of you. And I'm just going to say too that it is definitely a dream that I know that I am blissfully looking forward to a second year, a totally second season. And I have really big dreams for this podcast. We are just getting started. So please stay connected because this party is going to be a vibe. And it is a great time to be alive. I'm just going to say that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It is so exciting to say this is the last episode of season number 1. Okay, so now this is where I just very recently, like a half an hour ago, tossed out what I had outlined for the rest of this pod. And I replaced it with some notes about like a few of the tools that I have been successfully applying thus far this year. Because this would not be a Joy-Filled Universe episode without a few applicable techniques that we can apply to our worlds starting today. So I would like to share a few of my top techniques that I have been intentionally using thus far this year. And I am going to add that they are working really, really well for me. So in no particular order, technique number 1 is saying, I love that, when reframing any fear-based thoughts that I might have. This is inspired by something called the Sedona method and from a book that I recently read by Kyle Cease. And how it works is when a negative thought sneaks in, compliments of our minds, might I add, instead of resisting it, I say, I love that. So if I think I'm stressed about sitting in traffic on my commute home, I shift it to, I notice I feel stressed about traffic, and I love that. And why do we say this? We say this because I'm not resisting it. Rather, I'm acknowledging it. And when we stop resisting thoughts, they lose their power over us. And we are channeled away from fear and we are moving into joy. So when those niggling little negative feels start to show up, I say, I see you. And I love that. And what ends up happening is the negative thought crops up less and less because we are no longer fearing it. And eventually it just seems to fall away. And I find this to be so freeing. It feels so good to me. So that is a very simple technique, but I'm telling you, it works. And it does wonders for our nervous system too. I'm just going to put that out there. Okay. The next technique is visualization. Now, I have made my way back to my visualization train, and let me just tell you what. I had drifted off of this for a little while. I just got overwhelmed with life. And so my time to visualize really kind of fell at the wayside. However, I have recently been reminded with a very loving, universal punch to the face about how powerful this technique truly is. And this year alone, I have visualized some really incredible things. And I believe that it is truly because I have been intentional, almost every single day intentional with visualizing my best life. And sometimes that includes long-term goals and sometimes that includes short-term goals. But you know what? The universe does not know time frames. So what I might think is a long-term goal, the universe could easily turn into a short-term goal like that. So some of the things that I have visualized into my incredible reality in just these very short months of this year have been a new job opportunity that feels super energizing and completely aligned for me. So much so that I absolutely look forward to heading into work every single day. I loved my job before. I was very happy there, but I was starting to feel like, what else can I do? And so I visualized what would be a perfect opportunity for me. And I'm telling you, out of nowhere, here it was. And I grabbed onto it with both hands, and I am loving going to work every single day. Another thing was a tax return, which I rarely ever get. And it was in the exact dollar amount that I had imagined. I used that check from the universe trick too, by the way. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then please go back to last week's episode and have a listen. It's all about manifesting money. So I had written out my universal check. I put it on my little vision book, and every couple of days after filing my returns, I would have a look at it. And sure enough, when my tax lady got back to me, she was like, guess what? And she told me what my return was going to be. And I was like, no way. So I quickly opened my vision book, and sure enough, there it was. And I was just stunned. So thank you, universe, for that abundance. What a treat. Another thing that legit just happened the other day was a free wine delivery. Okay. So this too, I believe, came from my money subliminal, but I belong to a winery and I haven't been there in a very long time. So my quarterly wine allotments have been piling up to the tune of about 15 bottles of wine. And I don't have them shipped to me because that can actually become super expensive, especially when they have grown to about 15 bottles. So I just usually try to get to the winery to pick them up as often as I can. Anyway, I'm not going to be going there anytime soon. So I thought to myself, I am going to visualize these bottles with my parents in Florida in their little wine storage area. And I stayed there for a few minutes because I thought to myself, my parents would really love this wine and they have a place to store it. So I'm going to imagine it there. That is my vision. Those bottles of wine getting to Florida. And then I moved on with my day. So there it was. I launched my rocket of desire. Well, a little bit later in the day, I felt inspired to send a message to the winery. And I said, hey, I know I have a lot of bottles of wine there. Don't give up on me. I'll be there someday in the near future to pick them up. Well, literally 1 hour later, I got a response that basically said, all good. If you want, we can ship these to you free of charge. I was like, what? So I said to them, could you ship them to Florida? To which they responded, sure, no problem. And that was it. Done. The wine is arriving at my parents' home on Wednesday. Can you even believe it? I am just over the moon about that. And then some other things have been coming in for me too. And some have been big and some have been small, but I'm just going to name a few more. I lease like an extra parking space where I live because parking in my area is a hot commodity, and this spot happens to be a really great one because it's right near the elevators. And so I lease it from a person who had already told me, you know what, that they're moving out. And so February is going to be the last month because he's not going to be in the area any longer. So I started to visualize this guy saying to me that he decided to stay in the area for one more year and that he was going to lease the spot to me and he was going to keep the rate the same. So that is what stuck in my head, right? Well, around mid-February-ish, he said to me, because remember, February was my last month, he came to me and he said, you know what? I just decided that I'm going to stay here another year. So if you would like, you can continue to rent the spot and I'm just going to keep the rate the same. Oh my, I was so happy. And I'm going to tell you that there was a part of me that didn't even bother looking for another spot, knowing that February was my last month, because I knew that the universe was going to provide for me. And I kept visualizing the spot staying exactly where it was, and it did. So thank you, universe. And then another really fun one, and I'll end it here because I have a ton, but I'm going to stop here. So this one, I go to this store. It's called Trader Joe's. It's a grocery store in my area, and I think a lot of people are very familiar with it. Anyway, it's a great grocery store. And so I have these recyclable grocery bags, right? The ones you can use over and over again. And Trader Joe's sells the state-specific bags where those stores are. So for me, because I live in like the DC metro area, I have a grocery bag from Virginia, I have one from Maryland, and I have one from DC. And I just think they're fun to collect, right? Because you use them all the time when you go to the grocery store to load your groceries up. Well, at any rate, I lived in North Carolina once upon a time, and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if I could get a Trader Joe grocery bag from the state of North Carolina? And so I started to visualize that. And I'm not kidding, but literally a few weeks later, I was doing my grocery shopping. I was at the checkout and I saw some different recycle bags hanging up where they usually sell them. And so I said to the checkout guy, "What bags are those?" And he said, those are actually from North Carolina. They shipped them here by mistake. I was stunned, and I happily grabbed one for my collection too, by the way. And I was just so excited about this manifestation because whether it's big or small, when the universe provides, it always just feels like this giant gift because you're reminded how the universe listens to our desires and always provides for us this or something better. So I'm telling you all of this because visualizing is a vibe. However, please, please, please remember too that we don't visualize from a place of lack. We have to feel into the desire and truly feel and see ourselves accomplishing what we are wishing for. And lastly, always say this or something better so that the universe has the creative license to just blow your mind with abundance beyond your wildest dreams. And then lastly, one other thing that I am intentionally living through this year is a true lens of love. Coupled with my earlier practice of having awareness about negative thoughts, I am choosing to remind myself that there is no loving thought that we have that is not meant for us. I read somewhere, and I wish I could remember where, but all thoughts that we think that come from a place of love are thoughts that are truly meant for us, and we get to decide what we do with them. And I couple this with a metaphor that Kyle Cease used in one of his books, and it was all about a video game called Super Mario Brothers. So at one point in one of the games, Mario was faced with going into a castle to recover a treasure, yet inside the castle was supposedly a fire-breathing dragon or something like that. Anyway, the point is, when we are behind the game control, we are essentially Mario in the game. And we have zero fear when entering the castle, sure, because we don't have to face the dragon. However, we know that we're going in and we're excited about it because abundance awaits. And if the dragon wins, who cares? We'll just reset the game and start over, knowing that we are getting into the castle and the treasure will be ours. And that is exactly how I am facing 2026. I don't let fear override my passion, my love-based thoughts that I know are meant for me. I'm following my intuition, and I'm feeling this incredible layer of joy because I know that everything is always working out for my highest good. And I wish I could relay exactly how freeing this truly feels for me. Yet, what I can say is, if you have thoughts that immediately bring you joy, that fire up your creativity and imagination, and most especially give you the chill bump feeling of excitement when you think about this thought coming into your reality, follow it, because it is absolutely meant for you. So go for it and be your own Mario and raid the castle. Take it back from the dragon and claim your treasure. This is exactly what I am doing. And I gotta tell ya, I wake up every single day knowing that something wonderful is going to happen. Big or small, it's happening, and I am so grateful. And yeah, well, that is actually it for this week. I am not going to lie, I kind of winged this episode because, like I said, I tossed out most of my outline. So I am hoping that it made sense to you and you also found it to be fun and applicable to your world. And speaking of the world, this year, we talked about how we are all energetic beings. And I recently read a book by Greg Braden called The Divine Matrix. And he presented a concept that came from studies of meditation research and quantum fields and collective consciousness. And the concept is that it only takes the square root of 1% of a collective to influence the vibrational energy of that group. And so I thought about that and searched just how many humans are in our world. And the number is somewhere around 8.1 billion. So if we take the square root of 1% of 8.1 billion, that is around 9,000 people. 9,000 people. So what a dream to know that if we have at least 9,000 people who are in a coherent, heart-centered state of love, gratitude, joy, and compassion, we will truly change the world. And I love that for all of us. And so that now, my friends, is officially a wrap for this week. And thank you so much for being a part of the Joy-Filled Universe. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, it would be so very much appreciated if you could do me the solid and write a review, follow the show, and even share it with a friend. All of this is truly a gift, and it really helps me out. So thank you so very much for your support. And on that note, I am your host, Lisa Ryan. This is the Joy-Filled Universe podcast, where we explore all the tools and tricks that are going to make your universe even more joyful than it already is. And I will see you next week as we kick off season number 2. Bye.